April, and you're listening to the first episode of Geektastic. This is where I talk about anything and everything, nerdy and, well, geektastic. For this episode, I will be talking about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, and the sequel of this amazing movie, aka Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I will also be talking about which one I think is better and including some of the top critics' opinions on both of the movies. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is when the movies were made and a basic summary of both of them. The first Fantastic Beasts was made in 2016 and takes place in New York in 1962. Newt Scamander has just completed a global excursion to find and document an extraordinary array of magical creatures. Arriving in New York for a brief stopover, he might have come and gone without incident, were it not for a nomad, American for Muggle, named Jacob, a misplaced magical case, and the escape of some of Newt's fantastic beasts, which could spell trouble for both the wizarding and nomad's world. The second Fantastic Beasts came out in November of 2018 and takes place in many places, but mostly takes place in France. The movie is about an evil wizard that goes by the name of Grindelwald, who escapes the wizarding prison in America and goes to find Credence, a very powerful young wizard that is in France. With the help of Credence, Grindelwald could take over the whole world, even the Muggles' world. As Grindelwald comes up with a plan to get Credence to join him, Tina, a wizard that works for the Ministry of Magic, searches everywhere in France to find Credence, and to show the Ministry that he's not what they think he is. Back in London, Newt has a special place where he keeps and takes care of his magical creatures. One day, when Newt was working with his creatures, Newt hears something upstairs and goes to check what it is and finds out it was two of his closest friends, Jacob, who is a muggle, and Queenie, who is a wizard. While Jacob and Queenie are there, Newt finds out that Tina, Queenie's sister, and Newt's one and only love, started seeing someone else and was looking for Credence. After Newt finds out about Tina, Jacob and Queenie gets into a fight, and Queenie goes to France to see her sister. After Queenie goes to France, Jacob tells Newt, and the both of them go to France to find Tina and Queenie. As Queenie goes to find her sister, one of Grindelwald's minions follows Queenie and waits until she becomes an easy target. Queenie unfortunately becomes an easy target because she goes to the Ministry of Magic in Paris and was told that Tina wasn't there. After that, Queenie sits on the side of the streets, crying in the rain. Grindelwald's minion sees this and goes to her and offers her a cup of tea. Queenie accepts, and they both go to an apartment where Grindelwald is waiting to tell her that his way was the right way and to convince her to go to his meeting later that day. In another part of France, Jacob and Newt continues to look for Tina and Queenie. While looking for them, they run into a wizard that had a conversation with Tina earlier that day, because he was also looking for Credence. While the wizard was talking to Jacob and Newt, he fainted, and both of them took them to the safe house Albus Dumbledore told Newt to go to. While they're at the safe house, Newt finds out that the thing that poisoned the wizard was a creature that was living in his eye. So Newt removed it and saved his life. While the wizard was recovering, Newt left Jacob there to watch the wizard, so he could go look for Tina. He eventually finds her, and they both find out that Credence is... Wait, did you think I would spoil the whole movie? No. You have to watch the movie to find out who Credence is related to and what happens next. Anyways, The next thing I will be talking about is the ratings of the movies and if I agree with Common Sense Media and Rotten Tomatoes. Fantastic Beasts was rated 4 out of 5 stars on Common Sense Media and was rated 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. I agree with Common Sense Media because it was a great movie that combines fantasy, romance, and action. I don't agree with Rotten Tomatoes because I think the movie deserves at least an 85% because it was that good and deserves a better rating. Now I'm going to be talking about the ratings for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. This movie was rated 3 out of 5 stars on Common Sense Media and was rated 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't agree with Common Sense Media at all because it's a great movie that deserves 5 out of 5 stars. I also strongly disagree with Rotten Tomatoes because this movie was way better than a 39% and deserves at least an 80%. I will now talk about some of the top movie critics' opinions on both of the movies. For Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them had many comments. The first comment is one of the top movie critics. This person's review was posted on Globe of Mail Film Reviews. This person stated, at least the monsters, when compared with their co-stars, have some personality. When I read this comment, I was very confused because the actors in this film displayed their character well and their characters' emotions perfectly. One example that proves my statement is when Credence gets beaten with his belt and he goes to cry in a corner, looking very lonely, sad, depressed, and hopeless. These characteristics describe Credence perfectly because all he wants is to find out who he is and where he comes from. I believe that the actors did an amazing job on showing emotion. So in this case, I don't agree with this movie critic. The next comment was written by a super reviewer and was posted on Rotten Tomatoes. This person said, "There's a lot to recommend. This should satisfy both Harry Potter fans and fantasy enthusiasts as well." When I read this comment, I couldn't agree more. This movie was so good that there is so much to recommend. I also agree that this movie would satisfy both Harry Potter fans and lovers of fantasy because Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them has a similar storyline to Harry Potter, and this movie is fantasy, so it would also satisfy lovers of fantasy. The last comment for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them that I'm going to be talking about today was written by, I'll just go by his initials and call him JB. JB's comment was posted on Rotten Tomatoes. JB stated, "Horrible movie, ponderous, obscure, excessively long, put me and half of my party to sleep. Won't be coming back to any future installment of this movie franchise." Get a writer who knows how to create a story narrative, or do us all a favor and don't make any more of these movies. When I first read this comment, I thought I have read this wrong, because this movie is not horrible, ponderous, or obscure. Yes, it might be long, but it's definitely not boring enough to put half a party to sleep. Anyways, I strongly disagree with what JB has written about this movie. Now that I'm done talking about the comments from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I will now talk about the comments from Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. The first comment that I will be talking about was written by another top critic from Globe and Mail Film Review. This person stated, "About as exciting as a trip to Hogwarts' most neglected lavatory." When I read this comment, I was very unhappy because this person used Harry Potter, one of my favorite things in the world, to insult one of my favorite movies. The next comment that I will be talking about was written by FF and was posted on Rotten Tomatoes. FF said, "It's turning out to be a lot more interesting than some of the previous films." this comment, I agreed and disagreed. I agree that the movie's turning point was very interesting, but not better than other movies. The last comment for Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, that I will be talking about today is a comment written by an anonymous person that posted on Rotten Tomatoes. This person stated, "This is a filler movie. If you got into it and wanting to see some amazing CGLD beasts in the world of Harry Potter, it's fantastic." When I first read this, I was happy to see that someone enjoyed the movie just as much as I did. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Geektastic. Stay tuned for the second episode. The last thing that I will be talking about today is what I think about both of the movies and which one I think is better. When I found out that they were coming out with a new movie that followed a similar storyline to Harry Potter, I was so excited because I love all the Harry Potter movies and books, even though the books are way better than the movies, but I'll save that for next time. Anyways, I was really excited when it came out, and I was not disappointed when I saw it. I believe that it is an amazing movie that combines fantasy, romance, and action. Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald is also a great movie. Even though it wasn't rated that well, I enjoyed the movie still. It was a great movie because there was a lot of action scenes that kept me on my toes. My favorite character out of both of the movies is Newt. Most people love Newt because he's the main character, but I love him because he's smart, dorky, loving, and has a kind heart. When they announced that there would be a second Fantastic Beast, I wasn't that excited because I thought the first one would be better than the second one, because in most sequels, the first one is way better. But in this case, I love both. I think they are equally awesome. I never thought the second one would be amazing, but it's fantastic. In this conclusion, I don't agree with Common Sense Media or Rotten Tomatoes with their ratings for Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, or their ratings for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think the movie deserves a way better rating than what it was given. I also believe that Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and the Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald are both amazing, and I'm hoping for a third one. That's all I have for today. Stay tuned for the second episode of Geektastic.